All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to get started here. Good afternoon and good morning or good evening, even wherever you might be. Jamie Neuwirth here from the Google for Education team, Regional Program Manager based out of Mountain View at the Googleplex, and really excited to be here on the second day of this incredible event, Education on Air. And we're getting involved a little bit today with the IT track, with the IT perspective on what it means to go Google, what it means to use Google for education, whether that's Google Apps, Chromebooks, Android tablets within your school district. And we're going to hear from two incredible IT directors from two incredible districts in the state of Texas a little bit about why they went Google, but also the how. So if you want to use some of these tools and some of these suggestions with your district, or maybe send it to the right folks within your district because you're looking to go Google, this is definitely a session for you. So again, Jamie Neuwirth from the Google team. I'm going to introduce, or have Steve introduce himself now from Burleson.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for having me here. Again, my name is Steve Logan. I'm the Executive Director of Technology for Burleson ISD. I've been in information technology for about 18 years now. 11 of those have been in education, all here at Burleson. And I've been in my current role for about 2 years now. Burleson is located just south of Fort Worth. We've got about 11,000 students and around 1,400 staff members. Next fall, we'll have 16 campuses. And we utilize the Google Apps solution throughout all grade levels, and all staff use it. We currently have around 2,000 Chromebooks, and that's at a rapid pace. We're not district-wide one-to-one yet, but we are moving in that direction. Last year, we actually received a grant that we used to provide a one-to-one solution for 2 of our elementary schools at 2 grade levels. So all those students were provided personal Chromebooks they actually take home, and we also provided MiFi devices to allow them to get on the internet if they don't have internet at home. We have a new school starting this next fall. It's going to be one-to-one with Chromebooks. It's a STEAM-focused campus. And something kind of interesting they're doing there is they're actually requiring all the teachers to become Google certified. So all the teachers there will be Google certified educators. And another unique thing they're doing is actually, instead of providing a PC laptop for the teacher device, we're going to issue them Chromebooks. So we're excited about that. As far as my technology support team, we have a team of 4 network engineers who support our Google Apps deployment and our Chromebook deployments. We also have a help desk team that handles all the calls that come in regarding hardware and software issues. We really try to integrate Google Apps into all of our different workflows throughout the district. We embed Google Calendars throughout our website for any type of file or document repositories on the website. It's embedded Google Drive. So we really try to integrate Google Apps throughout all we do here, and we're learning how to take advantage of those tools and do new things with them every day.
Awesome. Dustin.
I'm Dustin Harden. I'm the Director of Technology from New Caney ISD. New Caney is approximately 45 minutes north of Houston, Texas. We have 13,000 students. We're actually the fastest growing district percentage-wise in the Houston area. So keeping up with the growth with technology is always a fun challenge that we face every single day. We have a very large one-to-one. We have 11,000 Chromebooks, 3 through 12, 3rd grade through 5th grade. The Chromebooks stay in the classroom in some charging cabinets. 6 through 12, they go home with the units in a true one-to-one environment. Pre-K and kindergarten, every classroom is outfitted with 4 Nexus tablets and 4 Chromebooks. And 1st grade and 2nd grade at every single school, every classroom has 6 tablets and then a cart that's shared with the grade level. We decided this past year to go one-to-one, and one of the key things we did is that we made sure it was a curriculum initiative. We made sure that the students were also on board. The students actually picked the Chromebook. When we first talked about doing a one-to-one, it was actually going to be tablets, probably iPads, honestly. But once we got the student leadership groups involved, we knew then that they needed a keyboard, they needed some key things that the Chromebooks offered. So it was really a district-wide initiative. Everyone from curriculum, the students, even principals are very heavily involved in picking the device and the whole program. The districts move very quickly in technology as well. The best metric that I give is 3.5 years ago we were using 25 megs bandwidth, and as of today we're at 1 gig, and in July we'll be at 2.5 gigs. We did our E-rate contract, so we're hoping that it's built this time for we don't get capped out. We have all the way up to 10 gigs available over the next 3 years. And if we get capped out at that, I really don't know what I'm going to do except for cry, because it's too much bandwidth. But we're hoping that that's going to be good enough for us at New Caney.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the introduction. So this session, for those viewers out there, this is going to be a type of roundtable discussion. So I'm going to pose some questions for Dustin and Steve. And then if you guys want to put your own questions as well in the Q&A box, please do. We'll try and answer as many as we can at the end, and then I'll make sure that everything gets answered, maybe written. I'll email that out afterwards. So Dustin, staying with you, I'm going to pose this question. What challenges was the district facing that ended up driving you to implement Google Apps for Education in Chromebooks?
Well, we had quite a few challenges. The Google Apps for Education, actually in April 2012, that was a cutoff point that we moved our faculty members from a legacy email system and moved over to Gmail. Our email system, no one used it. We didn't allow, because of some spam issues, we didn't even allow teachers and faculty members to attach emails to their phones. So it really wasn't a communication tool that we utilized in the district, and it was 3 years ago. Everybody had an email account of some sort through Gmail, Hotmail, etc. But the servers were dying all the time. We had to make some big decisions on either upgrading our email system or moving to a cloud-based solution. Once we looked at the price points of storage, servers, licenses, of moving to, just to be honest, it was Exchange, which is a very common and actually an inexpensive solution for school districts, we just didn't have the money at the end of the day. So we ended up having to look at Microsoft Live, I think it's 365, whatever it was called 3 years ago, and Google. And at the end of the day, we really thought that Google was our best option. And that was before unlimited space and Vault being free and all those wonderful things that they've allowed now. Even at the time, it was the right choice for us. So one of the big challenges for students was just the whole account creation and account management. With 13,000 students, we had one person trying to take care of 1,500 accounts, much less 15,000 email accounts. So we ended up implementing a system that allowed that one person, through all the APIs that Google allows, to tie in back into our Active Directory or any LDAP, whether it be Novell or anything else, to automate that account creation, and also give the teachers access to reset passwords for the students, which takes a load off of our help desk. Once we really moved the teachers and faculty members to making Gmail their primary email account, that's when we really started seeing the Google applications, the docs, the spreadsheets, the PowerPoint, or presentation, those applications being utilized properly. Before, we just tried to do it, okay, your email is one system, yet try to use Google Apps, and no one utilized it because it was an extra step. Now, all day, every day, they're within Gmail. It's just a click away to Drive, and now they utilize it all the time.
That's great. Steve, how about you on your end? Some of the challenges that you guys might have been facing that drove you to implement Google Apps in Chromebooks.
Yeah, so we were in a very similar situation to Dustin. We were at a time where we were trying to find ways where we could cut back in the budget. With our legacy system, licensing fees were very expensive to provide email for all of our 10,000 students at the time and for our staff. And really, that system was just no longer meeting the needs of the district. We were trying to create an environment that fostered, collaboration and innovation, and that environment just was not really conducive to providing that. So, on the technical side, the old servers were very resource intensive, requiring high-end servers. There were costs associated with not only the user licenses, but also the server licenses, warranty costs. We provided all of our students and staff with storage space on our, like a network storage space. And our SAN was filling up. Storage was at a premium. So, with our student population growing, we really had trouble keeping up with the demands for disk space. So we really started looking at cloud solutions, and just like New Canyon, we looked at the Microsoft offering and some other offerings, and we evaluated those. And one of the key things that we really wanted to accomplish was that anywhere, anytime access. And with our old legacy system, we just didn't have that, and that was very important for us to be able to provide. And we also wanted our students and staff to be able to access, their storage, their documents and everything, from no matter where they were at. And at the time, Google Apps, they offered 30 gigs of free storage, and of course now it's completely unlimited, which is a very compelling argument to look at that. And our old system is client server based, and provided a very poor mobile experience, and we just wanted really something that provided a seamless experience across any platform, whether it be iOS, whether it be Android, Windows, Chrome OS, Mac OS, whatever it was. We wanted a seamless experience across all those OSs and devices. So we tested Google Apps, and it really fit our culture, and it really met the needs that we were trying to accomplish. So after we took all those things into consideration, we made the decision, and we knew it was going to be tough for our staff to make that transition from something they've used for years and years, and it might be difficult to sell, but we knew that it was right for kids, and we knew that it was right for our teachers, so we made the commitment, and we went with it.
That's great. And continuing with that theme, speaking of the idea of something new, what steps were taken to ensure that teachers were comfortable when you first rolled out Google Apps, and that they helped grow the adoption? I think we can all safely say that when students get it, they're either A, used to it already from what they use at home, and B, they'll adapt so quickly. But from a from a teacher standpoint, making sure that they knew how to use it, they were getting the right tools and training. What did that look like at Burleson?
Well, when we first started out and made this call, we knew we had to get buy-in from first of all, from central admin. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't a hard sell for our superintendent. He was a new superintendent here. He'd only been here for about a year. And he had expressed frustrations with our legacy email system from day one, so he was ready to go. He's very forward-thinking, and so he was on board immediately. The curriculum department was on board. They kind of were pushing this Chromebook initiative anyway, and so just the fact of how well those things meshed together with the Google Apps and the Chromebooks, they saw the value in it, and they started using it in their staff meetings and collaborating on their documents together as they were holding their meetings and everything. So it wasn't a hard sell for central admin to come on board. So then we wanted to get the campus leadership on board, and we bring them in and really explain to them why we were doing what we were doing, and how that process was going to look, and how that was going to impact the classroom. And we actually, at one of our leadership meetings, brought in a presenter from Google who came in and did a 10x thinking workshop, and he really focused on how transformative the Google tools could be in education and in the classroom. And that really got the campus leadership teams fired up and excited about what we could do with where we were going. And so they really brought that back to the campuses, and brought that enthusiasm to their teachers. And so we kept having follow-up meetings explaining timelines and the process and how things were going to play out. And then it's time for us to start talking to the teachers and the staff and getting them on board. And we had a very limited technology professional development staff. We only had 2 amazing learning technologies coaches and a learning technology director. So with 3 people, we were trying to support 15 campuses, 1,400 staff members. So, we really focused on trying to find a method that would be able to reach all those teachers and staff members with our limited staff. So developed some fantastic online training modules that they covered all aspects of Google Apps for Education. They were self-paced, had self-assessment in them. They were even recorded to see who was taking them, and to try to have some sense of accountability. So our original thought process was, hey, look, we've got all these great materials out there. We really want you guys to go through these before we're going to provide any, professional development on your campus and training. We want to make sure you go through these and have a base understanding before we, spread our resources out to start coming to the campuses and train. Well, that didn't go over so well, and we definitely, backpedaled on that one and reassessed and came back to the drawing board and said, all right, look, we've got to have these teachers understand why we're doing this and how it's going to positively impact them, impact their classrooms, and impact the students. So we set up informational meetings at each campus. We went out to the campuses. We provided a very clear understanding of why we were making the changes, and again on how it's going to impact them in a positive way. And then it just required constant communication throughout the process. And we were given a choice in how they wanted to be trained. We were providing those group sessions, coming in staff meetings, district-wide trainings, one-on-one if necessary, and of course we still had those fantastic online resources out there. So providing all those different resources for the different ways that our teachers feel comfortable learning was really key in getting them on board and feeling comfortable with the changeover.
That's great. Yeah, that's fantastic. Dustin, how about you guys over at New Caney in terms of ensuring that teachers were comfortable when you rolled out Google Apps and helped grow that adoption?
So, of course, a lot of the same things that is Steve facing at his district. But one of the big differences we did is that we started with that curriculum piece. The curriculum team was doing a very big project-based learning training. It was a 2-day training. We would actually take teachers out of the classroom and get them substitutes and have a full-on, this is what project-based learning is day 1, and day 2 actually have them do some implementation of a project-based learning lesson. After we trained probably 60 to 80% of the district, project-based learning is completely possible to do without technology, but technology makes it a lot easier. So we actually had teachers begging us for technology, which is a great place to be. It was new because most technology directors, like Steve was saying, sometimes you have to fight to push those new initiatives, push those new things. So we have a lot of teachers wanting it because they want to do something different in the classroom. But at the same time, we still have teachers that always give us pushback. To make sure the one-to-one was properly rolled out, we actually went in and converted all of our librarians to media specialists. Now, it's a political issue sometimes because the library, people say it's going away. It's not going away. The library is always going to be there. It's just in a transitional stage of what it means. We're really trying to make it more of a learning environment, a learning center, more so than just a library. But that really starts with the person who's in charge of it. So we decided that we retrained all of our librarians, changed their position title, added some days onto their contract, and got every single campus a librarian aide. So there is somebody in the library to do the day-to-day inventory, checkout, procedures, but the media specialist's primary role is to go do that one-on-one training or group trainings or whatever their campus needs. Since they're on that campus every single day, they know their culture a lot better than what we do, and they're part of that team over there. So we've really leaned on them to give us the feedback of what's going on if we're not getting the needs of the teachers, but then also having that one-on-one training that some of those teachers truly need. In addition to that, I got a question a long time ago about, well, how much professional development do you think is necessary? The answer is there's never enough. You can't enforce enough professional development because it's funny that we come from education, but yet sometimes we stop learning ourselves. We need to continue that learning process even for our professionals as much as we possibly can. So during this previous summer, we made it mandatory for every teacher to go through 5 online trainings over Google Drive, professional development, classroom management, some classes like that, and then also come in for 4-hour session that was grade level specific for them to learn about the Chromebooks, the tablets, Google Play for Education, the App Store, all those things, so have a nice toolbox to go back and learn from. This year, we're really focusing more on just kind of letting the one-to-one grow organically to see what kind of happens. Curriculum didn't want to enforce anything quite yet, and Houston ISD also is a very large one-to-one. They have a 4-year plan of, they're not going to enforce their teachers day one that this is a requirement.
Yeah.
But something that the head of curriculum has said, and that I've repeated as well, is that now you have all these wonderful tools in your classroom every single day. We're not going to necessarily force you to use the technology or force you to use these tools, but we are going to force you to engage your students. That's going to be a requirement. If you have that teacher that has been working for 35 years and her students do wonderful on every aspect of their education, the parents love the teacher, but yet she's flat out says, I'm not going to use the technology, it's fine. Her students are engaged and she's found a way to do that, but not every teacher has that ability. Not every teacher is that #1 teacher of your school. Yeah. So putting that baseline, saying we're not going to force you to use the technology, that relaxed the teachers a little bit as well, because they thought these devices were going to be there. They had to use them every day, and you don't have to use them every day. You just have to engage your students.
Yeah, that's great. And flipping over, Steve, this is just going to be a question for you. What is just one aspect of your initial implementation that you wish another IT director had told you before you had started?
I think one thing that surprised me is when you're looking at making some drastic changes like we did, you don't need a huge IT staff to make this work. You know, Google Apps for Education, the suite as well as Chromebooks, very manageable. The admin console is intuitive; it's easy to understand. It integrates seamlessly with Active Directory, your accounts, your passwords, and groups. You know, you're not having to mess with imaging all your computers and your antivirus, and it's just so much easier to manage than you know, iOS or even any Windows devices. So that was a big thing for me. It surprised me of how well we were able to roll this out and how seamlessly it just worked.
That's great. Yeah. Awesome. And Dustin, this is a question going back to some of what you had mentioned a moment ago in terms of curriculum. And we've noticed that some IT teams can be too focused on the device when making selections for student tools. How did you and the IT team work with the curriculum team to find the right device for the students?
Well, and actually, the curriculum team, when we first approached them with a one-to-one, they wanted iPads. They were 100% were going to use Apple. It was convincing them to first open their mind a little bit that it's really not about the device. It's at the end of the day, if you talk to people that have been doing one-to-ones for a long time, they'll tell you the same thing. It's more about the access and the skills the students learn once they have a device in their hands.
Yeah.
So we went and visited two districts that had an iPad one-to-one. We went and visited a district that had Windows one-to-one. At the time, there wasn't a district with a Chromebook one-to-one, so we couldn't necessarily go visit them. But the more we started seeing that, wow, it's really not about the device. It's more about just the access. The last thing we did, and what I mentioned earlier, was we have 2 high schools, and each high school has a form of leadership team at each one of the high schools. And I brought the head of curriculum with me to one of the meetings that I had with those students and had them explain to curriculum directly that they really didn't want a tablet, they really didn't want something that was very expensive. And I was very open with the students to tell them this is pretty much how much money we have to get something. And if we get this device, this is how many we could get. If we get this device, this is how many we could get. And they were, because a lot of them have brothers and sisters, and usually your leadership groups for your students, those are some of the top performing and also a little bit outside the box thinking students. They realized that if they got a lower end device that wasn't as expensive as a full-on Windows laptop or an iPad or something similar. We could have gone all the way down to 3rd grade, and their brothers and sisters and other students benefited instead of just the high schools. So that was real eye-opening to the curriculum team, saying this is something that we could easily implement, and the students are going to like it.
That's great. Awesome. So with the last couple minutes, we're going to open up for Q&A. And Dustin, I'm going to stick with you for this question that I got from the audience. This individual says that their education system recently was cut $6 million from the budget. How much was using Google Apps? How much has that saved your district? And could you say in as much detail or as little as you'd like in terms of the area specifically? So equipment, staffing, maintenance, what type of savings has this allowed for?
It's funny because actually just yesterday I looked in the reports and I finally saw how much data we're saving in Google Drive and Gmail. It was amazing. We actually, as a district, have about 36 terabytes of data in the cloud right now. And whenever you start looking from a SAN perspective, usually you try to, whatever your data is, you want double the size. So let's just say I was looking at a 60 terabyte system. You're looking at close to probably $100,000 for a nice SAN. So let's take that off the top, $100,000 for just SAN. When I'm talking about servers, for additional AD systems if we're storing those files on the directory, or the amount of servers and licenses needed for Exchange. With the devices, whenever we looked at, and like Steve talked about with imaging and all of those wonderful things that come along with a Windows device, we would have had to at least double that department. Right now I pretty much have one person handling our imaging side, creating those images. We would have had to minimum double that position. Probably that was a $60,000 position that I don't have to take care of. The additional staffing you need, because we had to add staff for the break fix, but there's not a lot of software problems that happens with Chrome OS. Whereas with Windows, like Steve said, viruses alone and malware, that's an ongoing battle regardless of what antivirus you end up getting. So we saved a lot of money on that side as well. I don't really have an exact quantitative number of what that is quite yet, but I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple months, after this full year's over, I'm able to sit down and really look at this is how much we save compared to potentially a peer in another district that has a Windows environment. So that data, I think, because Chrome OS one-to-ones are so new, still you're only really, this is the first year for a lot of us.
Sure.
There's not a lot of data out there to pull from quite yet, but the saving is there. The savings is there. I just don't know exactly how much.
Awesome. And final question, Steve, just out of curiosity, and this is the post from the audience, was security and privacy a concern when choosing to go Google?
Oh, absolutely. That's one we took very seriously whenever we were investigating this option. And fortunately, Google has a great resource on their website that clearly explains their difference in privacy policies from the consumer standpoint to the education standpoint. And so one thing that's important to understand is that the advertising is not in your Gmail or your Google Apps for Education. It's not scanning. There's not the computer scanning your contents of your email to give you targeted ads. That doesn't exist in Google Apps for Education. And our data that we put inside of Google Apps is our data. It belongs to us. No one else has access to it. And so we did a lot of research in that, and of course that was a few years ago. So the exact specifics of that policy aren't on the top of my head right now. But we felt very comfortable in making that move, and we would have not have done so had we not felt comfortable. So it was definitely a big piece of our decision-making process.
Great. All right, guys. Well, that's the bottom of the hour. That's all the time we have. For those questions that were unanswered, I'll make sure and get to that. I want to thank Steve, Dustin, you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. This was fantastic. I hope everyone in the audience learned something and everyone that's going to be watching this in the future. Thank you all for joining us, and have a good rest of your Saturday.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.